Hello guys, I'm Savvy and welcome back to another Kerbal Space Program tutorial video. In this one, I am going to be showing you guys exactly how to land a rover on the Mun. Now, this is a little tricky based on how you build this thing because I had an idea of trying to have sort of like, I guess, a crane to kind of hold on to the rover on the bottom and then have thrusters on the side of it, but I kind of went with a more simplistic route where I decided to put a little of the one of the little probodobodines on top of the actual rover itself. And I'm actually using one that's basically built for the rover. And I believe that's in the base game, and I use these large wheels as well. And as you can see, I put on the back the antenna, the batteries, and also some solar panels. And I put a stabilizer at the top there, but I'm going to remove it later because it's not really needed. But what I did here is I put two stack separators, one for the probodobodine underneath and underneath the rover itself, because I want to have everything separate from each other once this rover is landed on the Mun. And I was also trying to do something fancy with this silly little with the fuel tanks and with the engine on the bottom, but I'm like, no, that's a little too silly. And it was a little too short, so, also sorry if you just heard that. Oh, Steam notifications, gotta love them. So I decided to remove all those on the side, and I decided to make them into a longer section on the bottom because they're really short fuel tanks, and it just fit better when I put the fairing underneath as well. So then I also added a larger fuel tank that fit the same size as the fairing on the bottom. And this actually was a little bit of overkill. So what I could have done is just use the tank that cut it in half, basically, and everything would have been fine because I had so much fuel left over, as you'll see once we get to the part with the Mun. But I always want to make sure that I come prepared, even if it's over prepared, because you never know. Sometimes I go a little overboard, but it's always best to do stuff like this, especially in career mode if you have enough money, because why not? You know, and in case for any corrections that you need to make, you can always have that extra fuel just to do that. Then I added large tank underneath that one as a stage, and then I started to do asparagus staging. So as you can see, I'm putting fuel lines around these fuel tanks, and what I'm doing is I'm siphoning fuel from one tank to the one next to it, and then the one that's next to it, I siphon fuel into the center tank, into the main one, because that fuel is just going to be transferring over where all that fuel is basically going to go into the center, so that way it once those are decoupled, all that fuel's been expended, but then the next stage that's going to decouple next has its fuel tanks filled up, and then it's going to use up that, and then the main tank is going to have its fuel all the way up, even though it's been burning so much, it still will have full fuel by the time that all those side fuel tanks are decoupled. So asparagus staging is really good for Delta V. I also added some stabilizers at the top there. And then I went back in and I got rid of that stabilizer at the top because I didn't need it. And then I also added some fins that's going to be at the bottom because I needed more stability with that as well. And then I also moved the launch stabilizers too because they were going to get in the way. And I'm afraid that the wings were going to run into them, so I just moved them to the side tanks. But let's go. We're ready to launch. And this part is also sped up too. I actually only have this sped up to 2 times. It didn't take me that long to build the rocket. It would have taken me a lot longer trying to do the idea that I had, but it would have taken way too much time. And also, I'm recording this at about 2:30 in the morning, about 3 in the morning. So, yeah. So yeah, but we're just launching up into the atmosphere. And I actually did a little bit of a test before this. I actually have the whole section cut out where I had the same structure, but I didn't have the wings for it. And I didn't have this, and I still had the stabilizer at the top, but I'm just like, you know what? Forget it. I don't need the stabilizer. The wings are definitely necessary because I was flipping in the air. So yeah, but the way that I launch at the beginning is when I reach 100 meters per second, I start tilting. But I noticed that I was actually having a lot of power, so I'm like, okay, I need to make huge turn already because I'm getting really high with my apoapsis. So I decided to do a big turn after that too. And I usually go around a comfortable 100,000 meters or 100 kilometers just to be on the safe side because it'll take less delta V to get into orbit around it at that height instead of just going at 70,000 because you might have to make those corrections a little bit. And there's enough room for you to coast along as I'm doing right here. And once I reach space, I get rid of the fairing and I just extend the antenna and then we're on our way. And I do a little trick here. So even though I make the mun as my target that I'll do here in a second, once I actually get uh, into my orbit that I want to do. So there's a trick with the mun where when you're on going over the horizon of Kerbin, and once you see the mun, then you just burn prograde immediately. So I speed up time a little bit, and then as soon as I see it there, or I'm at that perspective, I just burn straight away. Prograde all the way. And I had a lot of fuel left over at the bottom stage, but then I ran out, and then it just burned with the second to last stage right there. And we just keep burning and burning and burning until basically we get an encounter with the mun. So just like that. And I didn't even have to do any maneuver nodes or anything like that. I just saw it on the horizon, burned prograde, and that's it. That's like the coolest tricks in the book. But I didn't want to go on the side where I was going to be mainly on the dark side because I wouldn't have communication with the KSC, Kerbal Space Center. So I decided to go the other way. And you could do it either way, just the way that I did it made it more comfortable for me, and it still ended up with the same result anyway, so, you know, whatever. So we're just gonna be coasting along here, just coasting until we make it into the Mun's Sphere of Influence, just like that. And just like with space in real life, there's a lot of distance in between celestial bodies, so you're gonna have to speed up time every now and again for you to just burn retrograde. So I turn retrograde, then I just burn, burn, burn until I get a really close orbit with the mun. And once I get in a comfortable height, I just stop burning and then I speed up time again to get around to the bright side of the mun or where the sun is facing towards the mun. And then I burn retrograde at a certain point. And where I wanted to aim is obviously a flat spot. I'm going to aim at a relatively flat spot. Otherwise, it's going to be a rough landing and we're going to be tipping over and things aren't going to be good. And I wanted to aim for the large crater that's to the left side there. And once I'm over this, and I wanted to go over the little crater that's below me, I decided to just immediately burn and burn as much as possible for me to get a good trajectory just to land straight down, pretty much. And I got just that, which is pretty cool. But from this point on, you're going to hear the real voice of me in real time. We're going to be landing on the mun with our new rover. All right, we are making our slow approach to the surface. And the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to burn a little bit with this bottom stage, and we have plenty of fuel left with this, so I did come over prepared, but it's always good for that, you know. Always good to come over prepared in case for things like this. You never know. It didn't really cost much to build this rocket either, but you always want to come prepared, just in case, you know, mistakes do happen, and, you know, you never know what's going to happen with this. So what I am going to do is I will decouple this once we get close enough. We are still over 4,000 meters above the surface, so I'm just going to wait until we get closer. And the way that I'm going to do this as well is once this is decoupled and I use up the fuel that's in here, once I touch the ground, I'll just let go of this and I'll be able to wiggle my way around. And then I'll technically be able to get rid of this too because I have the stack separators instead of the decouplers, so they won't stay attached to each other. Alright, I believe... Oh yeah, this has plenty of thrust, so I think it's safe to say that we can just remove... We can decouple this here. We can activate engine. We can just kind of let that go down and crash into the surface down below, and we'll just get a smooth ride. There was another way that I was thinking of handling this, which was adding thrusters at the top, kind of building a structure that way, so that way this touches on the ground first, but this works just as well because they're very tiny, so it's gonna work either way. We'll be fine. That hasn't hit the ground yet. That's kind of... Oh, there it goes. Did it seriously not crash? Wow. That's pretty strong. The wheels are turning on this already, but we'll be fine. I'm sure we won't be speeding too crazily on the surface. We definitely have to be careful here. And since I don't really have too much control and I can't really do retrograde or prograde, like I automatically do that, we're just gonna have to eyeball it, which is totally fine. I'm okay with eyeballing it. Alright. If we can keep this kind of balance here with this, then we should be fine. And once we touch down, and we get a smooth and touchdown, just like that. Beautiful. And we're gonna pop this off and let the wheels go. There we go. Whoa, this thing has a lot of power. Okay. We need a traction control. Oh boy. Motor. All right, there we go. Perfect. Well, there's our beautiful, beautiful Rover here. And we could just kind of move around with this. Now, the one thing I didn't put on here was a scanner, but what you can do is you could just scan for things around here. You could also put some other science stuff on this, but this is pretty much the basics of putting a rover or at least a vehicle on the surface. Now, if you want to build bigger vehicles, that's going to be kind of something to tackle in another episode if we want to do something like that. And I could use this to toggle brakes as the action group, which is very good. And these, like I said, these wheels are strong. So if I would do another Rover video, I think what I'll do instead is use tinier wheels that don't have as much power. But this has a lot more surface area, so it is safer to use. And we don't want to go too fast, otherwise we're definitely going to flip over. So what I think I'm going to do is get rid of, let's see, brakes. The brakes on this one, the back wheels are going to have more brake, while these front wheels have a little less brake on them. So we're just going to continue rolling down. I'm going to turn this way so we don't roll as fast, but we could just roll around wherever we want to go. But yeah, don't forget to put the scanning device on here, but I hope that this demonstrated exactly how this rover sort of thing works, and it would have been adding more weight, but it would have ended up with the same result because we had a lot of power coming from that little tiny engine with this whole thing. So in a vacuum, it works very, very well. But I think that's going to be it for this Kerbal. I was about to say Conan Exiles and Kerbal Space Program together. Kerbal Exiles. No, this is going to be it for Kerbal Space Program video. I hope you guys did enjoy this. This is really cool to do. If you guys did enjoy this, be sure to leave a like if you haven't already. I'd really appreciate that. And do not forget to hit that subscribe button as well, because that lets me know that you guys enjoy the content on the channel and would like to see more. I'm going to put up my channel members on screen right now. You can also become a channel member if you hit that join button down below if you're interested. And I'd like to thank all my channel members for supporting me for the stuff that I do, as well as the rest of you guys as well who subscribe and like. So thank you very much. I've been Savvy, And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys. See you later.